In 1870, most Americans had never heard the name John D. Rockefeller. He wasn't a president. He wasn't a general. He wasn't even a public speaker people admired. He was quiet, too quiet. The kind of man who could sit in a room full of powerful people and say almost nothing, yet leave owning half the room. At first, he looked ordinary, a thin man in a simple black suit, no flashy jewelry, no expensive habits, no dramatic speeches. But behind that calm face was a mind obsessed with one thing: control. Not fame, not luxury, control. While other businessmen chased quick profits, Rockefeller studied systems. He watched how railroads moved, how banks lent money, how newspapers shaped public opinion, how politicians made decisions. He understood something most people never learn. If you control the system, you never need to chase money. Money comes to you. America in the late 1800s was chaotic. Oil had become the new gold. Everyone wanted in. Small refineries were appearing everywhere. Men became rich overnight. And just as quickly, they lost everything. It was messy, unpredictable, dangerous. Rockefeller hated chaos. He wanted order, his order. So he created Standard Oil. At first, it looked like just another oil company. It wasn't. It was a machine, every part designed for one purpose: domination. He cut costs where others wasted money. He negotiated secret railroad discounts. While competitors paid full price to move oil, Rockefeller paid less, much less. No one knew how. But suddenly, his oil was cheaper, cleaner, more reliable. Customers followed. Competitors panicked. Then came the meetings. A small office. A polite conversation. Sometimes a smile. Sometimes silence. Rockefeller would make an offer. Sell to me now, or fight me later. Some accepted. Some laughed. Most of those who laughed disappeared. Refineries burned through cash. Railroads raised prices. Banks became less friendly. Insurance got complicated. Suppliers vanished. It felt like bad luck. It wasn't. People started whispering. They said Rockefeller didn't compete. He erased. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled nearly 90% of America's oil. 90%. One man, one company, one empire. He had become richer than kings. But money wasn't the most dangerous thing he owned. Influence was. Senators visited quietly. Bankers listened carefully. Editors softened headlines. People who attacked him too loudly sometimes found themselves very alone. He rarely needed threats. His silence did the work. And yet, the strange thing was, he still lived simply. He counted pennies. He tracked every expense. He attended church. He gave to charity. To some, he looked like a disciplined Christian businessman. To others, he looked like the most dangerous monopolist in American history. Both were true. Then came the public anger. America was changing. Workers were angry. Farmers were desperate. People were tired of giant corporations controlling everything. And Rockefeller became the perfect villain. Newspapers painted him as a monster. Cartoons showed him as a giant octopus. His oil-covered arms wrapped around government buildings, banks, railroads, even the White House. The message was clear. This man had too much power. Then one woman changed everything. Her name was Ida Tarbell. She was not loud. She was not dramatic. She was patient, and she hated what Rockefeller had built. Her father had once worked in the oil business. He had watched men like Rockefeller destroy smaller companies. She never forgot. So she investigated. Quietly. For years, she interviewed people, collected letters, followed money, studied hidden deals. Then she published it. Page by page, story by story. America read in shock. The secret railroad deals, the pressure tactics, the silent destruction of rivals. Suddenly, the whispers had proof. Rockefeller said little. Publicly, he remained calm. Privately, the pressure grew. The government could no longer ignore it. In 1911, the United States Supreme Court made its move. After years of investigation, they ruled that Standard Oil was an illegal monopoly. It had to be broken apart. To the public, it looked like victory. The giant had fallen. The government had won. People celebrated. Headlines declared the end of Rockefeller's empire. But they misunderstood one thing. Rockefeller had already planned for this. When Standard Oil was divided into smaller companies, he still owned major shares in many of them. Instead of one giant empire, he now held pieces of many giants. And as those companies grew, so did his fortune. What looked like defeat made him even richer. Sometimes the smartest move is letting people think they beat you. By some estimates, he became the richest man in modern history. Not millionaire, not billionaire. A level of wealth so large, it still shocks economists today. But money changes people, and sometimes it reveals them. As Rockefeller aged, his image changed. The ruthless oil king became an old man giving away fortunes. He donated to universities, medical research, education, public health, millions, then hundreds of millions. Eventually, billions in today's value. He funded what would become institutions that shaped the modern world. People asked, was he trying to help humanity? Or was he trying to rewrite his legacy? Maybe both. He once said, "The ability to deal with people is as purchasable as sugar or coffee." That sentence terrified people, because it sounded true. He understood people. Fear, greed, ambition, weakness. He knew most men had a price, and if they didn't, time would find one. Even in old age, he remained disciplined. He woke early, kept routines, counted, planned, controlled, as if the empire still lived inside him. Children would sometimes ask for a coin. He would hand them a dime and tell them to save it, as if simple habits, not ruthless strategy, had built his fortune. Maybe he wanted people to believe that. Maybe he wanted to believe it himself. But history remembers more than charity. It remembers power. It remembers fear. It remembers the lesson he taught America. Wealth is impressive. Control is unforgettable, because Rockefeller didn't just sell oil. He redesigned the game. He showed that true power doesn't always stand on a stage. Sometimes it sits quietly in the corner, saying almost nothing, while buying everything. Even today, his name survives where empires disappear. Not because he was loved, not because he was trusted, but because he understood a truth most people spend their lives avoiding. Money is not the goal. Money is the tool. Power is the destination. And John D. Rockefeller knew exactly how to buy it. And that brings us to the end of this story. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden world of John D. Rockefeller and the dark truth behind his rise to power, make sure to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories about history's most influential figures. Who should we uncover next? Let me know in the comments.